So let me revise once again. So good morning to all. Today we'll be discussing about continuation of the previous class, pin diagram of 8086. So last class we have discussed about this entire pin diagram is a 40 pin IC. Okay, so in this 40 pins we can categorize based on three types. We can categorize this 40 pins three types. What are those three types? One we can consider as a common pins. You will be having a common pins. How many pins, ma? Common pins. From this 40 to 40, you will be having a common pins. How many common pins we have? How many common pins we have? If you remove this 8 pins, you will be having 32 common pins.
32.
Yes, 32 common pins and 8 pins specific to minimum mode and 8 pins specific to maximum mode. Okay, so totally we can characterize based on this 40. First 8086 is a 40 pin IC. So what we have discussed previously is the architecture. So this is your entire architecture of 8086. So we have studied 8086 architecture, and inside this is your consider this is an architecture where you have a BIO, EO, execution unit, all pipelining, all concept, and this is your outside how it is connected. So this is your 40 pins. In that you will be having a 32 pins common pins and 8 pins to for minimum mode and 8 pins for maximum mode. So how to decide? So how to decide whether this 8086 is in minimum mode or it is in a maximum mode? It will be decided by this pin. Okay, so which is a pin number 33 will be deciding whether this 8086 is working in a minimum mode or a maximum mode. Okay, so as we already know, active low pin and active high pin. So whenever you are writing individual pin description about that, what is that actually? So you should write that it is a pin number 33 and it is pin number 33 is minimum and maximum mode, and here minimum is active high pin, maximum is active low pin. Means active low pin indicates this will be active if it is 0 and minimum mode will be active if it is 1. Okay, so similarly wherever you have a bar, it indicates it is an active low pin. Means the whatever it is this pin shows that will be enabled when it is 0. Means this is here right. Okay, so it is mentioned as right bar, indicates what? So this processor will be performing a write operation if it is signal 0 or low or high, ma?
Low, ma'am.
Yes, if it is low.
0.
0. So means bar indicates that pin will be enabled when it is 0. If there is no bar, that pin will be enabled if it is logic 1. If it is logic 1. So we'll start with a minimum and maximum mode. So starting we have discussed about we'll be having two pins called the ground pins, which is connected to pin number 1 and pin number 20, and we have a VCC pin which is connected to pin number 40, where this circuit will be working if you supply power. So for this we'll be giving plus 5 volts power supply so that the circuit will be working. Okay, so now you should know whether this is working in minimum or maximum mode. For that, this minimum mode will be connected to VCC so that it will be high. It will be high so that this circuit is working as a minimum mode. A maximum mode means it has to be connected to 0. Means what? It will be connected to ground. So it will be connected to ground. So whenever it is connected to ground, this pin, it is a multiplexed lines. So based on to which pin it is connected, it will be acting as either a minimum mode or maximum mode. If this pin is connected to ground, that means it is 0. So it is this is working as a maximum mode, and if this connected to VCC, means it is acting this circuit is working as a minimum mode. Now you should know the difference between a minimum mode and a maximum mode. So minimum mode is, try to understand ma, minimum mode is you have a single processor. So you will be having a single processor CPU with a common bus. So you'll be having a bus communicated with memory and input output devices. This is a minimum mode where you'll be having a single processor shared with memory and IO. Yes, minimum mode. When this will be in a minimum mode is when it is connected to VCC. Now let me go for, if this pin is connected to ground, then it will be working as a maximum mode. In such case, you will be having multiple processors, not a single processor. You will be having a multiple processors, 1, 2, 3, all will be connected to a common, you will be connected to a common memory and an IO devices. Okay, means a memory and IO devices will be shared among this multiple processors is maximum mode. So maximum mode is will be working with multiple processors where memory and IO has been shared, and minimum is will be having a single processor with memory and input output devices. This is all about minimum and maximum mode. Okay, now based on this, we'll be discussing about a common modes first. Already completed, done, but let me revise once again. So we have a common modes from 1 to 20, and we'll be having in the bottom to top like 21, 22, the opposite direction, where we need to discuss about from here we need to discuss about these pins which are common, and these 3 pins which are common. Remaining, these are specific to minimum and maximum mode. Okay, so let me start with let me start with the common pins. So I will be revising if the pin is already done. So we have, just now we discussed, we have a 40 pins. In that, 32 pins are having a common, and remaining 8 pins will be specific to minimum and maximum mode. So here we'll be having 2 pins which are ground. So to pin number 1 and pin number 20, it is connected to ground, and pin for pin number 40, it is VCC. We are applying plus 5 volts power supply. Next, coming to a clock. Okay, so what is this clock actually is, whenever clock is used for synchronization with external peripheral devices and a memory. So whenever processor is completed execution, and whenever processor is sending some data to external peripheral devices or to a memory, there should be some synchronization. Means if two people are playing something, okay, so there should be some synchronization between them. Why? Because the processor is very high speed device when compared to the other devices that are communicating with the processor. So there should be a synchronization. So for this, we are maintaining internally 8284 clock. Okay, so it operates in 3 modes ma. So based on the version, so we have 8086 v1 version 1, 2 and 3. If it is 1, it operates in 5 megahertz. If it is 2, it operates in 8 megahertz. If it is 3, it operates in 10 megahertz. Okay, so coming to a reset. Okay, so what does this reset is, where when this is first, you need to write it is a reset pin. It is an active high pin. It is pin number 21. So next is one. So when this is active, means when this is enabled by placing the signal high, which is 1. So what happens, it terminates current activities, and it clears all the registers and empties the instruction queue. We already discussed about the block diagram, the architecture of 8086, where we'll be having a 14 registers like segment registers, offset registers, flag registers, all those, right? So we'll be having an instruction queue for prefetching the instructions. If this is high, then all the internal registers will be cleared, and it resets with a new value when it starts a new program. So it is by default, for it activates for 4 clock cycles. It activates internally for 4 clock cycles. Okay, so internally whatever the registers we have, like a flag register, segment registers, offset registers in the instruction queue, all will be cleared when this is active. Next, we studied about the pins AD0 to AD15. Okay, so AD indicates here is A is an address, D is a data. Okay, so we know that last class we have discussed about in 8086 we have a 16 bits 16 bits data bus, and we have a 20 bit address bits. Okay, so 20 bits. Okay, so what we are doing here is whenever it is combined, this will be calling as a multiplexed lines. This will be calling as a multiplexed lines, means this pin, based on the timing signal, it will be either at some time it will be address will be activated, and some in the other time the data will be activated. So which one will be activated first will be based on what you are doing actually. Okay, so you know that when you want to cook a rice, so you should know the process, like you have to take the rice, you need to wash all those. So in the same way, for address and data, which one to be activated first, you should know the process of execution. So we know that we have a fetch, decode, and execute. These steps has to be followed to complete an instruction cycle, to complete a instruction execution. So for fetching, you must get the data. So for the first clock cycle, this is your clock cycle that I already discussed, but I am repeating once again. So for the first clock cycle, for T1, address will be activated based on an address. So you should explain this AD0 to AD15 with the help of a diagram. And once again I'm repeating, for each and every pin you try to represent with the separate diagrams. Like if it is AD0 to AD15, try to represent the clock, and you try to represent, if it is an instruction, to execute an instruction, there are some steps to be followed. It has to fetch, it has to decode, it has to execute. For fetching, you must know the address. So among these two, you must know first an address. So in a timing signal T1, address will be activated, so that one side you will be having a memory processor, and the other side you will be having a memory. So for the first timing signal, your address will be activated. And if you go to that address, what is this one? This side, what is this? This
Memory.
Yes, this is memory. So your address will be activated. If you go to that address, you will be getting an instruction. This instruction, when this instruction is activated, so in this multiplexed lines, data will be active now. So among two, any one will be active. For the first timing signal T1, address will be active. Now we don't need an address, we want an instruction. Now in such case, data will be active. But when data is active, you will be having a concept called a wait state that we discussed. So wait state is what? When these external peripheral devices and memory are somewhat slow when compared to a processor. So whenever it is giving a reply, and sometimes it may be in a wait state. So whenever it is waiting, the processor has to wait for that instruction to be ready. Once if it is ready, it can take that data. So remaining timing signals, your data will be activated, so that the processor will execute that instruction. This is all about AD0 to AD15. So from this multiplexed lines, we have done with the data. Okay, but we have not done with the address. Why? Because address, see here, so AD0 to AD15, these are multiplexed lines. So for the first timing signals, address will be activated. For the remaining timing signals, data will be activated. But still 8086 is a 20-bit address, but still we need until we have A15, we need to get until A19, so that we'll be getting 19 address 20 address bits as it is starting from 0. Okay, so for that, data is over. So for that, what it these are also a multiplexed lines where we are combining with a status bits. Okay, A16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so for this we'll be having a status pins S3, S4, S5, S6. Okay, so now internally same concept ma. So for the first timing signals, this address will be activated. For the next timing signals, status will be there. But with uh, what is the purpose of the status, which you should know? It is simply given as S3 to S6. These are used for status signals. And see here ma, S3 and S4 combined, it mentions which the processor is executing which segment instructions. So we have discussed this also, but I'm repeating once again. So S3 to S4 combinedly indicates which segment register is presently being used for memory access. See here. So if it is 00, it is what ma? Which segment if it is 00?
Data segment.
Yes, alternate data. It's like a extra segment. Okay, so if it is 00, it is a extra segment. If it is 01, it is a stack segment. Extra segment. This is your 01. If it is a stack segment, it is 10 means it is code segment. If it is 11 means it is a data segment. Okay, and we have done with these two pins. So S3 and S4 is used for processor is currently executing which segment. Okay, so we'll be having totally two combinations, means 2 part 2 you'll be having total 4. We have also 4 segments. Next, coming to this one is used for representing a, see here, S5. Okay, so what is this S5 is? We have flags. Please answer ma. We have a flags. Flags is of two types. What are those two types? We have categorized flags in two types. What are those two types?
Control conditional.
Yes, control conditionals. Okay, so control is based on the programmer. Based on the programmer. Again, in this also we have a three types. One is interrupt flag, one is a direction flag, and the other one is a trap flag. Okay, trap flag. This interrupt flag will be set by the programmer, so based on its need. Okay, it will be set by these are it is under the control of a programmer, whereas a status or a conditional flag, it is based on the output of the operation. Okay, so in this, if this the status of interrupt enable flag, if flag which is there in the flag register, interrupt enable if flag is updated at the beginning of each clock cycle and it is displayed on S5. Okay, so there, if it is enabled, then it shows in S5 flag that it is interrupt flag is enabled with the help of S5. Now coming to a status line S6. So we have done with the S3, S4, S5. Then this is not used. It is connected to logic 0 for future use, ma'am. So it is always low. So it is always low means it is 0. Okay. Now coming to BHE bar. Okay. This we have discussed clearly with the help of memory banking concept. Now I will be giving the combinations. You try to answer, ma'am. So let me clear this. So we need to discuss about bus high enable pin combined with the S7. Okay, see here, bus high enable, you'll be having totally this you can understand if you know the general purpose registers called AX, BX, CX, DX. Okay, so again, this AX, BX is of size 16 bits, and we can even access individually 8 bits also. If we want to access 8 bits, we'll be calling as AH, higher order, AL, lower order. Similarly, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH, DL. Okay. So now tell me please, ma'am. So what we'll be calling this higher order as? Odd banking or even banking? Is it odd or even if it is higher order?
Odd bank.
Yes. Yes. So it is odd. It is odd and it is even banking. Okay. So here we'll be having some combinations 0 0. So you'll be having BHE bar. Okay. So if this is 0, you know that we are accessing the higher order 8 bits. We are accessing, if this is 0, that indicates that the processor is accessing the higher order 8 bits. That is from 8 to 15, or odd banking, it is accessing an odd banking. Okay, so with this odd banking is this, when this will be activated is based on BHE bar. But for even banking, we have used with chip for activation, ma. So we have two bankings, right? So one is odd banking, the other one is even banking. So for this to activate, we have used one chip called BHE bar. Okay.
A01.
Yes, A0. Oh yes, good. So it is A0. Okay. So I'm combining this with A0. So if it is 0 0, what will be the answer, ma'am? This is also activated. This is also activated. Means are we accessing higher order or lower order? If it is 0 0,
Both, ma'am.
both. Okay. So both we are accessing. So see here. So if it is 0 0, whole word. Okay. So entire word we are accessing. If it is 0 1, so here we are only accessing the upper byte, which we'll be calling as a odd address. And if this chip is not activated and this A0 is activated, means we are accessing the lower byte from or to an even address. And if it is 1 1, means both are not active, so we are not doing any operation. Now, this, with the help of this diagram, I have explained, no? So memory banking, so odd banking will have a 512 kb and even banking will have a 512 kb. Now interrupts, this also I explained, but let me revise once again. So we have two types of interrupts. One is NMI and the other one is INTR. This is your NMI and this is your INTR. NMI is non-maskable interrupt and INTR is interrupt request. Okay. So this, with the help of an example, I have considered. So let me explain that. Clear. See here. This is your processor. This is your processor. Is executing a main program. Processor is executing a main program instructions. This is your main program. Okay. Whenever processor is executing main program instructions, let us consider this instruction is fetched. Okay. And it is fetched. In such case, when an interrupt occurs, okay, when an interrupt occurs, what processor will do? When an interrupt occurs, processor will not stop. Why? Because instruction we have fetching, decoding, execution. Okay, so what processor will do? Processor completed fetching, but it has to complete decoding and execution. So it will decode in control unit. After decoding, it sends that to ALU for execution. Then it checks for any interrupts before going for the next instruction fetching. Yes, we got an interrupt. So if this is an interrupt, then what it will be doing, it uses a concept called a stack, and the next instruction it has to execute will be pushed inside a stack address, the only address, which is 201, let us suppose. This will be pushed inside a stack, and it provides a service to the interrupt. Okay, so when it provides a service to the interrupt in 8086, we have two types of interrupts. One is NMI and the other one is INTR. Okay, so what is this? NMI is non-maskable. If this is high, which is 1, that indicates that it has to provide this service, whereas this this if this is high, it depends upon whether it provides a service or whether it completes the next instruction. It will start with the next instruction execution, but it depends upon what type of interrupt it is provided to the processor. So if this is NMI, it stops its next instruction fetching decode execution, then it goes to that interrupt and it provides a service if it is NMI. But if it is activated with the pin INTR, then it decides whether to provide service or not, which is maskable. So how can we mask? Means with the help of a flag register IF. So this can be masked. This, even if this is high, it decides if this is masked, means it will not provide a service to this. Means what? IF will be decided. We just now discussed flags are of two types. One is control flags and the other one is status flags. Status flags, the output, whether it is carry, 0 or auxiliary carry, that will be decided, whereas a control flags is by the user, programmer. So whenever programmer sets this to 0, it is maskable. Means what? Even if this interrupt is high, so it will not provide the service. Why? Because it is maskable. So where it continues, even if you got a request from this pin, it continues executing the next instruction of its main program. Whereas NMI, no, it has to provide. So for that, which one I'm giving just answer, ma'am. So for which one it has to give an acknowledgement? For which pin it has to give an acknowledgement? For NMI or for INTR?
INTR.
Yes, good, ma. So why? Because NMI, if this pin is activated, for sure it has to provide the service. Processor has to provide the service. But whereas in INTR, it depends upon whether it is masked or whether it is, that depends upon an IF bit. If it is 1, means it provides a service, but it has to know the interrupted. For example, external peripheral device has given a request to the processor that I want your service, but it has to get an acknowledgement, right? Yes, you are providing a service to me. So we have to provide a acknowledgement to this, where acknowledgement is not needed for NMI. Why? Because this is active, it has to provide the service by CPU for sure. Okay, whereas NMI, if processor is providing the service for this, it has to provide a acknowledgement INTA, interrupt acknowledgement. Okay, so based on that, it will give the indicating that processor will provide the services which device has given a request. Okay, this is all about the interrupts called NMI and INTR. INTR will provide the service if internally the IF flag is set to 1. Okay, if this is set to 1, it provides a acknowledgement with the help of INTA, interrupt acknowledgement pin, saying that yes, I'm stopping my main program execution and I'm providing the service to you. This is about the two pins, INTR and NMI. So let me talk about read. Okay, so read is this active low pin. By seeing this, you can able to identify that there is a bar. Okay, so read, the signal on low indicates the peripheral that the processor is performing memory or IO read memory operation. So let me go for the example so that you can understand clearly. See here, you have a processor, and we have studied about different types of instructions. So instructions will be present inside a memory, or it may be from external peripheral IO devices. Okay, so let us consider we have the data which is present inside a memory, and even we can get the data from This is for read signal. Means what? For every signal, for every pin, you should represent with some kind of a diagram so that you can score maximum marks. So this is your CPU. So uh, what is this read bar indicates? It is active low pin. So whenever it is 0, the processor, internally the processor is reading. So if it is reading, means whether it is reading from the memory or whether it is reading from the IO. Okay, so it may be either, read indicates it may either read from memory or it may either read from the IO, external peripheral devices. Okay, so read indicates what? So let us consider you have an exam, so you can even open a textbook for reading, or you can even open a notes for reading. So finally, where will be the data? You'll be The data will be present in your brain. Similarly, the processor will either read from a memory or either read from a IO when the signal is 0, when read is 0, when read is 0. Now let me go for there is read. Okay, so we have done with this all, and we have done with this also. VHE read, then we need to start with the reset is also done, then we need to start with a test pin. So here it is ready. See here, this is an acknowledgement from the slow device or memory that they have completed the data transfer. See here, ma, what is this ready is, so you have a processor, okay, and you have a device 1 and one more device 2. Okay, so consider device indicates here the device may be a memory or it may be an external peripheral device. Totally you should know the block diagram of a computer, how it communicates with each other. External peripheral devices, you'll be having from whatever the data that you are getting from external peripheral devices, it has to be placed inside a memory. One by one it has to go to processor for execution, and again it returns back to the output device, or it stores inside a memory. It depends upon. Okay, so here we have a processor, it is one device, consider it as a memory or external peripheral device, and device 2. Okay, so here whenever the it is providing some data, means there is a data transfer, you have a pen drive, so from that pen drive you want to insert some data inside a memory, and that has to be executed by the processor. In such case, as these devices are very slow when compared to the processor, we'll be maintaining a buffers. Okay, so we'll be maintaining a buffers for storing. So directly one by one will not go to the processor, we'll be maintaining a buffers. So we'll be filling all the data that is transferred by these devices, and if everything is done, then will be given a request that the data is ready. So in such case, so ready will be placed with 1, that indicates that data is ready, everything is ready, then you can take for execution. So the ready indicates what? Whenever the slower device is transferring the data, the processor will be in an idle state until this ready is 1. So if this ready is 1, that indicates that the slower devices are completed transferring the data. Now I can take the data for execution. Or else in bidirectional, we don't consider only the external from external, it can be from this also, it can be from processor also, can place the data and can inform to the device that it is completed placing, then you can take the data. Okay, so now the ready is done. Okay, ready. So we have discussed about interrupt request. So this interrupt request, this is a level triggered, where NMI is edge triggered. This is a level triggered input. So we have discussed about interrupt request. Now coming to test. Okay, so concentrate my test bar, it is an active low pin, so whenever it is 0, this will be done. Okay, so this is your active low pin, means this test will be active when it is 0. Why? Because we have a test bar. This input is examined by wait instruction. Okay, so we'll be in a wait state, will be in a wait state, and if this test pin goes low, execution will continue. Means what? If this is low, the processor will execute its task. Else, means if this pin is 1, means what? It will, the processor will remain in idle state. The processor will remain in idle state until this will become 0. If this is 0, then processor will execute its works. So if test pin goes low, means execution will continue. Okay, else if this is 1, else the processor will be in a waiting state. Why? Because still it is not ready. So still it is not ready, it is in a waiting state. In such case, it places the test as 1. If the test it if it places the test as 0, that indicates that you can execute, everything is okay, you can execute your work. If not, it maintains with a wait state, saying that you please for some time you please remain for a ideal state. When if it is everything is okay, then we'll be giving with a pin called low, so that you can execute your task. This is about test pin. Now coming to clock. Clock we discussed, NMI we discussed, reset we discussed. Okay, so now we'll be discussing, we have done with all 32 common pins. Now let me go for the modes of operations. So in a modes of operations, we have a two modes of operations. One is a minimum mode and the maximum mode. So minimum mode is what, ma'am? Minimum mode is where we have a single processor with memory and IO devices, where a maximum mode is multi-processor with shared memory and IO devices, with shared memory and IO devices. So let me start with, see here, ma. See here, this yellow shows the minimum mode, this green shows the maximum mode. Okay, so these are the pins which are specific to a minimum mode. So these are maximum mode. Okay, so let me start with the minimum mode. So this is your minimum mode. So in this, we'll be starting with these two pins. Okay, so which is hold and hold acknowledgement. We have two pins called hold and hold acknowledgement. So see here, we'll be discussing with these two pins. Both are active high pins where we are not having a bar. So which is pin number 31 and 30. Okay, so we'll be discussing about hold and hold acknowledgement. Okay, hold and hold acknowledgement. Hold and hold acknowledgement. These are the two pins. See here, ma'am. First tell me what is minimum mode. What is minimum mode? What is maximum mode? Minimum mode means will you have a multiple processors or a single processor?
Single processor.
So okay, we have a single processor. Okay, but whenever single processor means you'll be having a memory and external peripheral devices connected to this single processor. But to speed up, we'll be using one concept called DMA. It will be acting as a master. So DMA, this we have for the next unit complete topic ma about DMA, but try to understand, for sake of understanding I will try to explain. DMA is direct memory access. Okay, DMA is a direct memory access. Means what? Let us consider, this is your computer. Okay, this is your system. So you'll be connecting your pen drive. Okay, so whenever you're connecting your pen drive, whatever the data which is there in your system memory, I want to transfer this to your pen drive. Means using some online, you have downloaded some latest movie, and that movie you want to copy it in your pen drive. In such case, definitely without use of a processor, I want to make use of DMA. Okay, direct memory access means what? So there is no way communication with the processor. So what DMA will do? DMA will try to transfer the data which is present in your system to the pen drive. So it is data transfer. Okay, direct memory access is like a transferring the data from your system to pen drive or from pen drive to the memory. Okay, so without involvement of processor, that is DMA, direct memory access. For that what DMA has to get is bus. So I am giving some task. Let us suppose I'm giving to you to complete some task. So in such case, to complete that, we DMA need what? A bus. So based on this only, it can transfer from external pen drive to inside a memory, or from inside memory to the external pen drive. For that, the DMA need a bus. But what it will do, DMA will give a request to the processor saying that to please release the bus. Why? Because there is a request that there is some data transfer is there. Okay, so in such case, let me show you have a processor this side. This is very important, ma. Definitely you will be getting separate questions to explain about hold and hold acknowledgement in minimum mode. So in such case, you have to explain that you will be having a DMA. Instead of DMA, simply I'm writing as device 1 and device 2. Or you can write as DMA also, it's your wish. Okay. So it has to give a request to the processor to please release a system bus, so that I will be using that system bus for transferring of data. Okay, so it will give a request hold. So whenever it is giving hold, the direction is from DMA to the processor. Okay, so upon saying, what CPU will do is CPU will give a hold acknowledgement. Yes, you can take the system bus for transferring of data, from external peripheral device into the memory, or from memory to the external peripheral device. So you can release. So by giving hold acknowledgement as an reply, as an acknowledgement to this, and once if this reply is given, it releases the system bus. Means what? System bus means, you know, right? So what are the three types of system buses, ma? What are the three types of system buses we have? Types
Data
of bus.
bus, address bus,
Data, address. Next
and
one is,
control bus.
yes, ma, good. Okay. Next one is control bus. So this everything is this bus will be disconnected with the processor once. It will be disconnected with the processor. It will be disconnected with the processor once this is given an acknowledgement. Now DMA is using the system bus. Okay, now DMA will be using a system bus for transferring the data from pen drive to the memory, or from memory to the pen drive. In such case, it will give a hold. Why? And you will be getting some question that why there is a need of using a DMA. Processor is anyhow will be executing fast. Why? While it is releasing the system bus, what processor will do? Will it be in an idle state? No. In some cases, it will be in idle state. In other cases, it will execute the instructions which are present inside its registers. Okay, so you know that we will be having inside processor, you'll be having a registers, right? So it will execute the instructions which are present in this without the support of bus. Why? Because if a processor wants to execute an instruction, definitely it has to use a system bus, right? So why? Because this the instruction, if it is present inside a memory, means it has to fetch the instruction with the help of a bus, address bus. Then it has to get the data with the help of a data bus. Then it has to get a corresponding signal from CU, whether it is doing a read operation or write operation. Okay, so this, if it is given to DMA, what processor will do? Processor will execute the instructions which are present inside a register. So if it is present inside the register, then there is no need of a system bus for a processor. Meanwhile, processor will try to execute the instructions which are present in this, and the what DMA will do, DMA will try to, with the help of the system bus, will try to transfer the data from memory to the pen drive. After that, it gives a reply to the processor, my task is done, now you can take a system bus for your work. Okay, so that is the concept of a DMA, where it gives hold is given by DMA to the processor for requesting a system bus, and hold acknowledgement is given by the processor to DMA. Yes, you can take the system bus for transferring of data. Okay, this is about hold and hold acknowledgement. Now write. So write is an active low pin. Uh, yes, ma'am. I will be continuing the next class also. So write. So it is a write signal. So inside this write signal, it is used to write the data. So whenever we are saying the data will be present, whenever write or read, just now I said a read concept. So processor will read from memory, or where from where it reads, ma'am? Is it active? Read is active low pin or high pin? Read. Do we have a RD bar? Is it active low pin or high pin?
High
Active
pin,
low pin,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, active low pin. If it is zero, then it is active low pin. Means it processor will read from where? From either
Memory
from
or
I
input output devices.
yes, from either memory or input output device. Similarly, we have a write pin also. Write pin means what? Write bar, which is also an active low pin. So which will be, if it is the signal is low, that indicates it is writing, processor is writing inside a memory or IO based on what it is doing. Okay, so processor, it will either write, or will either write to memory, or will either write to IO devices, or IO devices. That is about write. Okay, this, it is used to write data in memory or output device. Yes, specific, I should not say IO, I should say as out. We should spare, whenever it is writing means we have to be specific. It is output device only. Output device depending on the status of memory and IO signal. Means it, this pin will decide. SEMA, we have a sequence. So let me write here. Just anyone note down this one. We have a DEN bar. We have a DT by R bar. We have a memory by IO bar. We have a WR bar. So tell me in sequence, ma'am. Fast. So we have DEN bar. Next we have
DT bar.
DT or R bar. Next we have M or IO bar. Next
WR. Right, ma'am.
right bar. This is a sequence, right? This is a sequence. See here. So we have DEN bar, DT by R bar, M by IO bar, right bar. So why I'm discussing all means it's like a sequence, ma'am. So what is the sequence? DEN bar is active low pin, and this DEN indicates D indicates data, EN is enabled. Okay, so data is enabled, data is ready. So when data is ready, so data is ready inside a buffer. So data is ready inside a buffer. Next, what it, who has placed, whether it is transmitting or whether it is receiving, means data is ready. Let us consider data is ready. Next, once data is ready, based on this pin, it decides whether it is receiving the data or whether it is transmitting the data. Data is ready. Okay, so based on this pin, try to answer, ma. If it is 0, it is receiving or it is transmitting? Think about, ma. Here you have R bar, indicates this will work receiving the data when it is
0.
0. Means what I am saying, for this pin it is connected with low signal. It means whether it is receiving or transmitting.
Receiving, ma'am.
Yes, the processor is receiving this data. Okay, processor is receiving the data, but it is receiving from where? You have two types again, memory and IO. Whether the data is receiving from memory or whether it is receiving from IO, so that decides by this pin. Let us consider in this case I placed 0. Means what? Data is enabled and processor is receiving the data, and it is receiving from,
IO.
yes, it is receiving from IO. Why? Because IO bar means what? This is active low pin. Means it is reading the, receiving the data from the input output, from the input output. Okay, so this is what, whether whether it is doing what operation, whether it is a read or a write. So this is all in a sequence. So instead of this 0, if I place 1 here, then what happens, ma'am?
Data is receiving from memory.
Yes, data is receiving from memory. Then if I place here 1,
Transferring to memory.
yes, processor is transferring the data which is present. Data enabled processor will give an information that data is enabled with this pin by placing this as 0, and it is transmitting to the two, we have a two memory and IO, it is transmitting to memory. This is about memory and IO bar, data transfer and data receive and data enable. So this is in sequence. You should explain about each and every with the help of a diagram. So now let me go for, see here. It is used to write the data in memory, or this we discussed about right now. So this is your, this signal is issued by the microprocessor to distinguish what it is performing, whether it is memory access or memory access from IO or from IO access. So when it is high, memory is accessed. Why? Because this is active high pin, this is active low pin. When 1 indicates it is accessing from memory, 0 indicates that it is accessing from IO. So this is your DT by R indicates data transmit receive signal. Okay, so this decides the direction of data flow through the transceiver. Okay, so when it is high, data is transmitted out. Okay, so when it is high, data is transmitted. When it is low, data is received. Data is received. Next, data enable. Okay, the signal is used to enable the transceiver. So this is used to separate. So one more, ma, when data is enabled, you have, for data enabling we are using a multiplexed. So which, when this data is enabled, that indicates among these two we are using a data. So is used to separate the data from the address and data bus. It is active low pin. Now ALE, what is this? ALE is address latch enable. Okay, A indicates address, L is latch, E is enable. Address latch enable. See here, this is your active high pin. There is no bar for this. That means if this address latch enable, if this carries 1, that means if it is equals to 1, that means presently this is like decides which is among among this which is presently in use. So multiplexed means we can use either an address or either a data. Okay, so if this pin is 1, that means presently in that multiplexed lines address is active. Okay, so address latch enable equals to 1, that indicates that presently the address is active. So in this we are using an address. So if it is equals to 1, so if it is equals to 0, it carries the data. This multiplexed line carries the data. If it is equals to 1, it carries the address. By the name itself you can I understand address latch enable means what, it is active high pin. If it is 1, that indicates these lines carries the address. If it is equals to 0, that indicates this lines carries the data. This is about ALE, address latch enable. So do we discussed about this INTA bar? What is this INTA bar? Huh? Tell me what is this INTA bar? Interrupt acknowledgement. I will be explaining. I explained about interrupt acknowledgement in which concept, ma? Interrupt acknowledgement. Hmm? You have an interrupt request, right? When an interrupt request interrupted to the processor, what happens? What processor will give? Yes, ma. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this interrupt acknowledgement for?
To
In
get the address of the interrupt service, ma'am.
yes, ma. So here when I explain, we have two types of interrupts. What are those two types of interrupts?
External and internal.
Okay, leave about external and internal. We have two interrupt pins connected to this 8086 pin diagram. What are those two? One is NMI, one
INTR.
INTR. This I discussed just now. So INTR is interrupt request, NMI is non-maskable interrupt. Okay, so if a processor is executing its main program, when an interrupt occurs, so what happens internally? What processor will do? Processor will stop its main program execution and it provides a service. Okay, so if this interrupt is NMI, it has to stop its main program execution. It has to provide the service. But if it is INTR, it is maskable interrupt. Means what? It decides based on which pin to provide service or not, based on
Interrupt flag, ma'am.
yes, good ma'am. Interrupt flag. If this is equals to 1, then it provides a service. Okay, this is set by the programmer. So if this is equal to 1, it cannot be masked. It has to provide the service. So in such case, when it provides a service, what it has to provide? It has to provide a acknowledgement to that device that I am providing the service. For that, it uses which pin? INTA bar. This I already discussed while explaining this concept. So INTA bar it is an acknowledgement given to this interrupt request saying that it provides a service. I will be providing the service to you. Okay. So but whatever the interrupts are, it may be an NMI or it may be INTR. But when an interrupt occurs, what processor will do? Fast so let us consider the processor is fetch completed. Now it is in decoding. Now an interrupt occurred, so will it stop, or when it will go for providing the interrupt service? After completing fetching, decoding, execution, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
In the middle of the instruction, it not provides a service even after fetching. If it gets a interrupt saying that, so let us consider you are eating. Okay, so when your friends comes, will you wash and will you go to your friends? No. So in similarly, when an interrupt occurs, when a processor is fetching an instruction, even though it tries to complete the entire instruction like fetching, decoding, executing, then it will not go for the next instruction execution. It stops and it provides a service. It may be either for NMI or INTR. But whether it executes the next instruction in the main program or whether it provides a service, if it is INTR, will be based on IF. So if IF equals to 1, then it will not execute the next instruction. It has to provide the service. For that, it gives an acknowledgement to this INTR saying that I will be providing a service with the help of an acknowledgement pin called INTA, interrupt acknowledgement. Is it clear what is interrupt acknowledgement is given for interrupt request? Why? Because this acknowledgement is not given to this NMI. Why? While explaining, I said why there is no need of acknowledgement for NMI.
Because it directly gives the service for interrupt, ma'am.
Yes, it is non-maskable. Once it is activated, it has to provide the service, but not in the middle of the instruction. It has to complete the execution and it has to provide the interrupt service. For that, the next instruction address, where we have to place the next instruction address in the main program, it has to placed inside
Stack, ma'am.
yes, ma, good. So it has to be placed inside a stack. Means whether it may be a subroutine call, whether it may be an interrupt, common procedure. So when it is going to the providing a service to that interrupt external peripheral device, the next instruction address has to be pushed inside a stack. Then after providing the service to this, it has to be popped that instruction address so that it will be executing. This is a concept of interrupt. So is it clear what is TA bar? So where is this INT? This one. Okay. So this is an interrupt acknowledgement given which direction? Is it from external peripheral to processor or from processor to external peripheral? From direction for INTM. Is it from CPU to device or from device to CPU? Interrupt acknowledgement is given by
Device to CPU.
where is the acknowledgement? Who will give acknowledgement that I will provide the service?
CPU, ma'am.
That's what. So you have a CPU is busy in executing its main program execution. You have a device one. Don't consider this as external. It may be a memory or IO. Okay. So this is your interrupt request. The directions you have to draw with the help of this is INTA. Not A, R, interrupt request. So upon requesting, based on internal IF flag, if it is set to 1, it provides a service and it provides the acknowledgement with from CPU to the external peripheral device, INTA, interrupt acknowledgement. Okay. So this you have to show with the help of this two diagrams, the spin and INTR. So see here, this is an interrupt acknowledgement signal. When microprocessor receives INTR signal, interrupt request signal, it acknowledges the interrupt by generating the signal. So whenever you are explaining this too, you should show with the two diagrams. One side you will be having external peripheral devices or memory, and one side you will be having a CPU. So from external peripheral devices, it is requesting the service of CPU. Then you will be writing as INTR. Then it provides the service. If it is providing the service, then it provides a acknowledgement, INTA bar. Okay. So now this completes your minimum mode pins. This completes your minimum mode pins. Then we'll start with maximum mode. So for starting with maximum modes, let me show here. Where is the combination? This side, this one. Okay. So see here, ma'am. We have done with this. So let me revise once again. Hold and hold acknowledgement is between two devices. What are those two devices, ma'am? Hold and hold acknowledgement is between CPU and
Memory or input output.
yes, memory or input output. No, CPU and one special device used for transferring the data transfer. What is that special device?
DMA.
Yes, ma, DMA. Good. So one side you will be having a CPU and the other side you will be having a DMA, and you will be having secondary devices from the system memory. If you want to transfer to the secondary devices, let us consider this device. Then what DMA will do? DMA will give a request hold. What is this hold indicates? What DMA is requesting? DMA is requesting a system bus. So upon receiving, what CPU will do? CPU will give an acknowledgement that I have released the system bus. Now you can use the system bus for transferring the data. This is between hold and hold acknowledgement is between a DMA and a processor for transferring the data from external secondary to peripheral devices to the memory or from memory to the secondary devices. Next, this we have discussed. What is this address latch enable? If this is equals to 1, what happens if address latch enable equals to 1? In this multiplexed lines, which one will be active? If address latch equals to 1, address latch enable equals to 1, address will be activated.
Address will be active.
Yes, address will be activated. If it is 0, data will be activated. Interrupt acknowledgement signal is given by the processor to the external peripheral devices as an acknowledgement to interrupt request pin. Okay, now we'll be starting with this maximum pins. So see here, we have a 3. See, S0 bar, we have a three status, S0, S0, S1, S2, which are all active low pins, which are all active low pins. So these are the status signal indicates operation being done by the microprocessor. What operation the microprocessor is being done. So this internally, this is controlled by the bus controller 8288. Okay, so bus controller 8288 generates all memory and IO control signals. So let me show with a diagram. So these are the three status which are active low pins. So S0, S1, S2. Okay, as we have a three status, so you will be getting how many combinations? 2 power 3. So total you will be getting 8 combinations. So these are all the 8 combinations, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, all these 8 combinations. Okay, if all are 0 in this status, it indicates it is providing a interrupt acknowledgement. It is providing an interrupt acknowledgement. So if it is 0, 0, 1, that means the processor is, it is IO read, it is reading from IO. If it is 0, 1, 0 means it is writing to IO devices. And if it is 0, 1, 0 means it is halt indicates it is idle, it's not doing anything, processor is not doing anything. If it is 1, 0, 0 means it is fetching the instruction, it is fetching the instruction. And if it is 1, 0, 1 means it is memory read. If it is 1, 1, 0 means if it is memory write. If it all ones means it is inactive. Why? Because these are active low pins, means anyhow in one particular position it has to be 0, then only it performs some operation. If all are 1 means all the status pins are inactive, so it is in a disabled mode. In such case it will not be showing any status, it is inactive. And this is related to this one, try to understand. So if you think about the minimum mode and maximum, we are studying about now a maximum modes. Okay, so if you think about the maximum modes, okay, so you see here whatever it is there, it is relevant. So say for S2, the minimum mode is what we have in a minimum mode, memory or IO bar. Okay, so that indicates S2, if it is 0, that indicates it is performing IO operations. If it is 1, that indicates it is performing memory operations. See here, this is your, it is represented, see here, 0, we have all zeros, and we have all ones. If it is 0, IO. Why? Because it's somewhat, it will be internally related with minimum and maximum mode, but don't go in depth. But let me show for one example. See here, if it is 0, you will be having IO. Why? Because IO bar is low, which is 0. Memory means it is 1. Means what? If this is 1, that indicates it is doing memory operation. So memory read, memory write. Okay, so this is about the three status, where it shows the status what the processor is doing, whether it is doing IO read, IO write, memory read, memory write, or whether it is in a idle state, or whether it is providing any acknowledgement, like that. Okay, these three. Now coming to instruction, the remaining two, we have done with this three status, and we have this two. This QS0 is Q status. Now I'll be asking one question, you be ready. So these are the Q status. So see here, QS0, QS1. So as we have two, you will be getting four combinations, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Okay, if it is 0, 0, it is not performing no operation. If it is 0, 1, first byte of opcode from the queue, it is accessing the first byte of opcode from the queue. You remember the queue, ma, everyone? So which unit we have a queue?
BIU, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So in BIU we have a queue where we'll be having 6 bytes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if it is the queue, if it is showing the status as 0, 1, it is accessing the first byte of the opcode from the queue. If it is 1, 0, the empty queue means what? It is empty queue. So can anyone tell me when you will be getting an empty queue, in which situation? You will be clearing and it will become an
When
empty.
there is any condition, ma'am, sub
Yes.
function.
Yes, when there is a conditional or unconditional or subroutine function call occurs, then whatever in advanced we fetched all has to be cleared, and it shows in such case as empty queue. And the next is one means subsequent byte of a opcode means what, this one. This is already done and it is accessing this. So in this way, it shows the status based on QS0 and QS1. It shows the status based on QS0 and QS1. Next is what we have done with this phi. Next, coming to lock. So to understand lock, first you need to understand about what is maximum mode. First, tell me what is a maximum mode. For first,
Multiple processors.
yes, multiple processors. First, when you will be in a maximum mode in 8086, when it is connected to ground or VCC.
VCC, ma'am.
See, ma'am. So it is MN. The pin number is 32, right? MN or MX bar. Okay, na? So which one is active low pin? Which one is active high pin? This one is active high pin, means when it has to be 1 and it has to be 0. So to get this to 0, it has to be connected to ground. It has to be connected to ground so that it will be in a maximum mode. Now, if it is a maximum mode, what is a maximum mode is, you will be having a multiple processors. CPU 1, you will be having a CPU 2, you will be having a CPU 3, all shares a common memory, and this you will be having a memory, and you will be having a external peripheral devices which are common. Try to understand, ma. You can understand this concept if you know this clearly. Okay, so see here, if one processor is using the system bus, if let us consider CPU 1 is using the system bus for accessing, if one processor is using the system bus for executing some instructions which is present in memory, what processor will do is, processor will go for a lock, indicating that the other processor should not give a request to this processor. By seeing this lock, the other processor knows that some processor is using the system bus for accessing the memory or IO. Okay, so lock is what, for example, if you are having an online exams, you will be locking inside your door and you will be writing your exam, right? You will be giving to your parents saying that I have an exam, please don't disturb, and you will be keeping a lock for your room. In the similar way, here lock indicates, so whenever processor is utilizing the system bus for accessing the memory, in such case it keeps a lock, so that the other processor knows that some other processor is using a system bus for accessing the memory, and after completing its work, it releases the lock. So soon after releasing the lock, the other processor sees that it has been released, so that we can use for accessing the data. It is similar to hold acknowledgement we have studied in minimum mode, right? So this two is what, this two we have studied in minimum mode, where you will not having a multiple processors, will be having only a single processor. But in this case, for data transfer, we are using one special data transfer called DMA. So what DMA will do, DMA will give a request to the processor. So what processor will do, upon seeing it, will give a acknowledgement, and based on the acknowledgement, now system bus is under the control of DMA. So here it will not be under the system, by because the processor is given a lock, kept a lock, so that the others will not be used, the other processor will not be used. Now the other pin is RQ by GT, request and grant. Let me show, then I will be explaining. Okay, so here RQ GT, so RQ bar GT0, RQ bar GT1. Okay, both are same, see here, but GT0 indicates it will be having a highest priority, GT1 will be having a lowest priority when compared to GT0. Okay, so what is this request? Is lock clear, ma? Now this lock is what? Is lock bar. Now tell me, if it is 0, it is a lock bar. It is active low pin. If it is 0, is processor is using the system bus? Yes, processor 1 is using the system bus. So the other processor has to wait until this releases. If this is 1, is processor 1 is using the system bus? Is it using the, is there a lock for that system bus?
No, ma'am.
No. So that the other processors who wants to use a system bus for communicating memory, it can access. That is a lock. Okay. So let me explain about request. Once again, I'm saying, ma, at last, by asking the questions only, I will leave. I'm observing that I'm not getting reply from maximum of the students. See here. Now, RQ bar by GT0 bar 1 pin and RQ bar by GT1 bar. So what is this? So we have a processor 1. We are in a maximum mode, so we have a processor 1 using a system bus. The other processor 2 want a system bus. So what CPU 2 will give a request to the processor 1 which is using the system bus. It will give a request that I want the system bus. So what CPU 1 will do, it will give a acknowledgement, okay, grant, so that it will give a grant saying that you can use a system bus. Similarly, this also, when a one processor is using the system bus, if other processor need a system bus, it gives a request to the processor that I want the system bus. Upon receiving, it will not give immediately a grant request. After completing whatever the task the system CPU 1 want to do with the help of a system bus, it completes and it gives a grant signal to the CPU 2. Now you can take a system bus. So by giving a signal called grant as an acknowledgement, so that CPU 2 will use this. But what is the difference between these two? Both are same, but when you are getting from this pin a request, and from this request, let us consider this is CPU 2 and this is CPU 3. Then CPU 1 will provide a service to CPU 2, means system bus grant reply will be given to CPU 2, not with CPU 3. Why? Because this will have a highest priority when compared to this. So both are same, but we have a priority levels. So first we'll have a highest priority when compared to this one. So this is same about this one, hold and hold acknowledgement. So in this case, the request is like a hold. So it is DMA is requesting the processor to release the system, but in this maximum mode, you will not be having a DMA. You will be another processor will be requesting the processor which is currently using the system bus to release a bus. So that once this processor is done with its activity, then it provides a grant signal to the processor. Then you can take the system bus for accessing. Okay, but when both at a time is active, so it provides to which service, ma? So let us consider from this CPU 2 is requesting, from this pin CPU 3 is requesting, and currently processor is using CPU bus is used by a CPU 1. Now CPU 1 will be providing grants signal to CPU 2 or CPU 3. It provides a grant signal to CPU
3, ma'am. If it is GT0, ma'am.
Yes. If it is GT0, then this will have a highest priority, but this will have a lowest priority. But here I mentioned as 2, so it provides a service to CPU 2. Okay, why? Because this will have a highest priority when compared to this. Both are same, but the levels highest priority and lowest we have set priorities.